He was hiding from a king who wanted him dead. He had no food or any visible means of survival, and God sent ravens to bring him bread and meat twice a day. Ravens, unclean birds by Jewish law. Of all the ways God could have provided, he sent birds. This is Elijah at the brook Cherith, and his story is for everyone who cannot see how the provision is going to come but knows they need it to come soon. If biblical content like this is speaking to your faith, hit subscribe. 1 Kings chapter 17 verses 1 to 6. Elijah had just declared before King Ahab that there would be no rain in Israel except at his word. That took extraordinary courage, and immediately after God told him to hide by the brook Cherith east of the Jordan. God said, "I have directed the ravens to supply you with food there." And that is exactly what happened. The ravens brought him bread and meat in the morning and evening. And he drank from the brook. Twice a day, every day, provision arrived through the most unlikely source imaginable. Lesson 1. God's provision does not always come through the channels you expect. Ravens were considered unclean birds in Jewish law. They were the last creature anyone would associate with holy provision. But God used them anyway. He was not limited by Elijah's expectations of how help should arrive. He was only limited by his own creativity, and he has none. Stop waiting for provision to come through the door you are watching. God may be sending it through a window you have not even thought to open. The source of your provision is not your employer, your savings, or your network. It is God, and He has more delivery methods than you can imagine. Lesson 2. Obedience to God's instruction positions you for supernatural provision. Elijah was where God told him to be. If Elijah had refused to go to the brook or had gone somewhere else that seemed more logical, the ravens would have arrived at an empty location. Supernatural provision is almost always tied to obedience to a specific instruction. Is there something God has been telling you to do, a place He has been telling you to go, that you have been delaying? Your provision may already be in motion, heading toward the exact place God told you to be. Lesson 3. God provides daily, not all at once, and that requires daily trust. They brought bread and meat in the morning and bread and meat in the evening. Every single day, God provided enough for the day and then stopped. Then the next day He provided again. This was not scarcity. This was a daily rhythm of trust and provision designed to keep Elijah in a posture of dependence on God rather than self-sufficiency. The daily nature of your provision is not God being stingy. It is God keeping you close. Lesson 4. When one source of provision dries up, God already has the next one prepared. Eventually the brook dried up because there was no rain in the land. The very source God had used to sustain Elijah stopped working. And immediately God said, "Arise, go to Zarephath, and I have commanded a widow there to supply you with food." One source closed. A new one was already prepared before the first one ran out. You are not at the mercy of any single stream of income, any single employer, any single opportunity. When God closes one source, He has already spoken to the next one. Subscribe for the next episode of Biblical Money Lessons.